Okay. So we continue with the talk about patenting and innovation, and in particular how to search for inspiration. Let us give a warm welcome to Hege Langlo from the Norwegian Industrial Property Office. Welcome.
Thank you. Well, as he said, my name is Hege Langlo, and I come from the Norwegian Industrial... sorry, you hear me? Yeah. I come from the Norwegian Industrial Property Office. Has a quite difficult name in English. Short NIPO. I work basically with our online database with patent, trademark, and design registrations in Norway. So I'm not an examiner. I work with information mainly. I'm invited here today to talk about how you can use our database and other industrial property databases as a source for inspiration in your innovation. And also how you can use the databases to find out if your idea really is as new as you think. A lot of people come to our office and they say, I have this brilliant idea. It's actually quite simple. It's a wonder no one's ever thought about that before. And actually sometimes they have. And it's wise to find that out as soon as possible. First of all, I have to say I'm really impressed with you guys. I've been wandering around these 2 days looking at all the things you make. You can even make things from straws. I'm so impressed. And here I am, just a boring bureaucrat talking about databases. This is basically how I see myself. I think this might be how you see us, as bureaucrats. On the other hand, this is how I look at you. But maybe you see yourself more like this. Suit, good ideas. The question is, how can we together make a good team to take innovation one step further? To do a successful business, creation of a good product is not enough. To have protection of the rights won't give you a successful business either. But a successful product needs both a brilliant idea and protection. It also takes more. For example, a business plan, you need a market, for example. But both protection and the ideas are elements in how to make a successful business. Then, how to avoid that this is you in a year, banging your head against the wall? Well, if your brilliant idea turns out not to be new, you ought to find that out as soon as possible. Not after spending months or years on developing, prototyping. Maybe you engage the design people to make a logo and things like that. If it turns out your idea isn't new, if you find that out early in the process, then you can turn on to do something else instead. And violating others' rights is expensive and time-consuming. And I think you want to use your energy on something else. So we had a discussion here yesterday, and whether you like it or not, the IPR system is there, so you have to cope with it. And if you do your preparations, you can cope with it quite easy. If you just dig your head in the sand, you might get in troubles. You might get troubles, and it's not worth it. I also heard figures saying that 25% of all research and development is done on things that have already been invented by someone else. So, how can you use these databases that I'm talking about as an inspiration? Well, say you have an idea. Then I think you should go to the databases and check what is already invented within this area. You can look at them and maybe improve them, make them even better. You should see in the databases what you can produce without violating others' rights. You can check what your competitors are doing. some of these databases, for example, the NIPO database, which I work on daily, you can get alerts whenever a company is filing new applications. If there are new applications within your area specific, you can get alerts, get an email each time something happens. So that's something I would suggest that you do. You can also use the databases to see which designers are good. You can find inventors. We know that investors also use the databases to find companies to invest in. It's getting more and more common that investors and boards expect that the companies have an active IPR policy. And I think what people mostly do when they have an idea is they go to the internet, for example, Google, to see if something has been, if they can find any web page describing that. You should still do that, of course, and also check the market. But about 80% of all new technique is only described in patents. So, Googling will not give you the whole picture. And if you actually look at patents and look at the old information that is in a patent, you can find a lot of detailed information about technique, which can inspire you to do something even better. So, what are intellectual property rights actually? Does anyone have some clue what it is? I see some hands, that's good. I'll go quite quick through them. It's defined by WIPO, the World Intellectual Property Organization, as the rights given to persons over the creations of their minds. So basically, it covers copyright, patents, trademarks, and designs. Copyright is something you get without actually doing something active. If you created a book, painting, can be a web page, code, it's protected by copyright. But for patents, trademarks, and design, this is something you have to claim. You have to file or apply for your rights. Most companies, especially in Norway, are good at securing the physical assets. It can be machines, stock, but they're not so good at securing the non-physical assets, like the brand, technique. And in most cases, the non-physical assets represents the highest value of the company. So this is something people should have a more active, be more active about. And why should you know something about industrial property rights? Well, to be able to protect your own rights, if that's relevant, not to violate others' rights, and to be inspired by others' rights. What can be patented? Inventions, which describe a practical solution to a problem. The solution must be of technical nature or effect, and must be reproducible. That is what it takes to apply for a patent. So basically, you can search for patent for processes. For example, a new type of blood analysis can be patented. Products, like this trolley here, for example, or devices, but as a general rule, not software, at least here in Europe. Business concepts cannot be patented in Europe. Ideas, neither. You have to have the technical solution before you apply for a patent. When you search patent databases, there's something you should be aware of. Patents are kept secret 18 months after filing. That means that it gets publicly available and possible to see in databases 18 months after filing. So you will not find brand new technique there, but on the other hand, you won't find it anywhere else either. Because people that patent want to keep it a secret until it's published in the database after 18 months. That is global, so that goes everywhere. Patent protects the technique of a product. Design, on the other hand, protects the shape or at or the appearance of a product. It can be also part of a product, for example, just the top of the lamp or the whole lamp. And if there's new technique within this lamp, it will be protected by patent, or it can be. It's also possible to patent screened images and graphic symbols. I think that's something you should think about if any of you work on computer games development, for example. It's a good idea to maybe get design protection for the most important screen images and also the figures using, for example, the Angry Birds figures is actually quite valuable graphic elements. So this is something you should think of if you're working in that area. Trademark. Has any of you worked with trademark? Do you have trademark for your products or your companies? One. Well, I think this is something that all companies at least should think through. The trademark is the identity of the product. If we take the Strawbees example, their product is very easy to copy. It's just straws and these paper things that connects them. But if they have, and they say they had trademark protection for the brand Strawbees, competitors have to use another name. So then they won't be mixed up. And if someone makes Strawbees with lower quality, then Strawbees can say that, but you see, that this is not Strawbees, it's something else, it's not a brand. And it can be quite valuable. Imagine the Apple trademark, for example, is worth billions. A trademark can be a logo, a name, or a combination of logo and name. It can also be a slogan. For example, once you pop, you can't stop. Does anyone know that slogan? Yes? Do you know what it is for? Pringles, right. So everybody sort of think of Pringles when they hear that slogan. Descriptive marks, on the other hand, cannot be protected as a trademark. So if you start up a hairdresser, for example, and you want to call it nice hair, you're perfectly allowed to do that, but you cannot claim uniqueness of that name. Everyone that's working with hair may say that their customers get nice hair. So if you want to have a trademark and want to work on branding, you should choose something more distinctive, not a descriptive name. I have here a quite fresh example of what trademarks can be used for and why you should search the trademark databases. There was actually a couple of articles this week in the electronic newspaper E24, Norwegian, about a real estate business. It's called Privatmeglere. They have this logo, and it has been protected by trademark since 2007. And then a boat company comes up with this slogan, Yachtmegleren. And, well, Privatmegleren, they noticed that, and they called Yachtmegleren and said, well, you have copied our brand. Please change it. And then Yachtmegleren said, no, this is not a copy. What we see here is the butt of a boat, and we're working on boats. And I don't know, maybe that's right. I can't say that they did this in bad faith, to say it like that. But if they had checked our database before, they would see very easy that it's a very similar trademark that has protection since 2007, and then they could choose something else from the start, and then they wouldn't have this mess that has been this week. Because Privatmegleren asked them to change their logo, so they changed it into this. And then Privatmegleren said, no, stop. We call a lawyer. So they called the lawyer sent them the Yachtmegleren a letter, and they changed their logo again into this. And as far as I know, that's the end of the story. They're both happy with the solution, but I think this could all been avoided if Untitled had spent 10 minutes searching our database ahead of this. And also a point, if Privatmegleren didn't have trademark protection, probably it would take them more than a week to make the other company change their name. Because they can say, hey, here's our paper, it's our brand, please change it. Another example from the patent. There's a Norwegian company called Smart Seal. They have invented a drinking bottle, or actually the top of drinking bottle that avoids spilling of the beverage. I searched that patent up in the Espasnet database. I find there an illustration of the top of the bottle. And I think that's already, it can be an inspiration for people working on that. They can say, okay, they done it like this. I don't really understand it. I'm not such a technical person. But I think it can be useful for people working in that branch. The title of this patent is Closure for a Container, Beverage Container, and Method of Operating a Closure. That's actually quite typical patent language, as we call it. A coffee machine can be a device for preparing hot beverage. A window can be a transparent element, etc. They make these kind of fuzzy words, and the reason they do that when they search and more than apply for a patent is to give us that the patent should get as broad protection as possible. For example, that the coffee machine cannot only make coffee, but it's also for making hot chocolate, because otherwise a competitor could use the same technique to prepare hot chocolate. So that's why they do use this language. But of course, it makes it quite a bit tricky to search in the databases. So that is something you should keep in mind. It's not impossible, but it's a bit tricky. So a good strategy for searching can, for example, be, in this case, I already knew a company. So I just did a search and got their patent. I look at the words used here. So I can do a new search, because there are probably other patents as well covering pretty much the same. So I could use some of the words here, maybe beverage container, closure, etc. And do a new search for that and get new patents. All patents is classified by International Patent Classification System. I'm not going to teach you about that, but it's nice to know about it, because this is something that is added to the patents from the examiner. The applicant doesn't do that, it's the examiner that does it. So all patents about this closure system would be classified in that code. So if you find some patents that are relevant, you can look at the code and then make a new search and probably find other patents as well that use other words in their description. So it's an easy way to sort of get through this patent language problem. Apart from the title and the images, you see in this case there are several images that can inspire you more, I hope. The patent has a description, which can be from 1 page to 100 pages. It can be quite detailed, and I think you can read a lot about the technique there. Describes which problem it solves and how it works. All patents in the databases also have what we call citing and cited documents. Those are patents or other documents found by the examiner to be closest technique. And this is also something you can use to navigate to other patents within the same area. So you can use them to find similar inventions. Then finally, all patents have claims. the claims actually define what is legally protected by this patent. And if you do find a patent that you think might be stopping you from selling your product or producing your product, you should always read what is covered in the claims, because they actually define what is protected by this patent. And of course, you should also check, if you find a relevant patent, you should always check the status of that patent, because a lot of patents in the databases are not really valid patents. They're not all enforced. So if they're not enforced, that shouldn't stop you from producing or selling your product within that market. You should also be aware that patent, trademark, and design are national rights. So if a trademark has protection in Norway, that doesn't stop you from using it in Sweden, for example. These are some databases that you can consult. I made a small handout for it, because I don't think if I write some URLs, you forget it anyway. So I made a small handout you can pick up if you want. Then, how to find the needle in the haystack? Well, this patent language, as I said, make it a bit difficult. So, to say it short, absence of evidence is not the same as evidence of absence. That you don't find anything doesn't necessarily mean that there's nothing there. So maybe, if you can't find anything yourself, and it's important for you to find, if you have what we call freedom to operate, if you can go into that market, or maybe you should use some experts. For example, professional patent lawyers or patent offices that can help you with that. But of course, please do use the databases for checking, preparation, inspiring, and that kind of things. At the end, I want to show you that not all inventions are actually useful. Not all patents are useful either. So maybe they can inspire you to make something better. You have here, for example, pre-boiled water only needs to be heated. And you have a self-congratulatory apparatus. It's hard to say also. It's nice to have if you're missing a body to do that. Or maybe a portable bath capsule could be something to work on. So I hope these 3 inventions here at the end has inspired you to make something maybe a little better. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Are there any questions? We have time for 1 or maybe 2.
The database you're talking about,
yes.
Is that accessible for everybody?
Yes, they're free. Yeah.
All right. I can just say something. There's another database you also can use, and that's a Dutch company that has made it. It's called Patent Inspiration. I can really recommend it. It's easy to use, and it shows you a lot about what you're searching for in an easy manner.
But that's a commercial database or free?
It's a commercial,
okay.
But it's also free for easy searches.
I'll try to check that out. Thank you.
Anybody else? No? Okay, thank you.